That's the glorious thing about podcasts is we could literally say anything we want right now, and nobody cares.
Yep, this is America. This is America. And here we are, by the way. Episode 3 of Casual Conversations with Zachy T. And today, I'm having casual conversation with my good buddy Derek. What's up, buddy?
Yay!
Woo.
Hi, Zachy.
No, let's hit this peace pipe real quick. So what did you want to talk about? Because I remember you said you wanted to talk a little bit about like lyrics into modern music.
So mostly I'm just here to rant about lyrical interpretation, mainly just because I want an excuse to be able to talk about the PMRC and how much of a shitbag.
The what?
The PMRC.
What is that?
That is the Parents Music Resource Center. I have no idea if it's still a thing, but you know the parental advisory stickers that are on albums and shit? They are responsible for that.
I mean, I get why they're a thing though. Like, what's your beef?
The beef is how it came about. Now,
Talking about like the Mothers Against Metal Music or Ma'am, like with Twisted Sister back in the day.
Yeah, so it was all started by Tipper Gore, fucking Al Gore's wife.
Yeah, because I remember fucking Dee Snider's like, yeah, Under the Knife is about surgery. Tipper Gore, you have a sick mind.
Yeah, because she thought it was about BDSM.
Mm.
And that's exactly my point, is they interpreted his lyrical stylings as to be about fucking BDSM, but it was about a throat operation. You know? So they put out what they called the Filthy 15. It was a list of 15 charting songs or whatever that referenced sex, drugs, the occult, whatever, and therefore should be banned. Like, it should not be allowed to exist in the world.
See, I understand calling out the sex and drugs, but the occult, I mean, these are probably Republicans. You know how Christian they are, so I get why they call it the occult. But, this is free. This is America, last time I checked.
It's true. But I understand wanting to protect kids from all of these things and all of that. Oh no, big bad ideas that might get into their head. My biggest issue is the kind of pot shots they took after the fact. So one of their biggest opponents was Frank Zappa. Now Frank Zappa is an interesting fucking dude, real out there weirdo kind of a guy. But after the PMRC like hearings and all of that, he put out an instrumental album. It's completely instrumental. That's my phone.
Stand by.
So,
And we're back.
As I was saying before, I was so rudely interrupted by my cell phone. So Frank Zappa, he released a completely instrumental album. No, not a single fucking word on the whole thing as far as I'm aware. Never listened to the whole album. Frank Zappa's a little too out there for me. But it received one of those parental advisory stickers for lyrical content.
Did any of his other stuff, like, the only reason, first of all, I don't agree with that one bit. I like throwing anything from like the opposite. I had to try with argument. The only argument I could say was like, well, Frank Zappa has other things that are not child friendly, and they might like this album. They'll go to his other stuff, which also isn't that deserve. Because also, did it go back and put parental advisory stickers on things that didn't have them before too?
Yeah, it's not like just new releases from this point forward. It's any sort of objectionable content, in their opinion, is now labeled with one of those stickers. As long as it meets the part of their criteria of based on sex, drugs, the occult, whatever.
So is now the other thing I'm thinking about now is, was there one department in like throughout the entire U.S. that would look at every new release and figure out, oh yeah, this deserves a sticker now, or is every record company in charge of doing that themselves, or else they get in trouble?
I think it's the record companies that, like, they willingly, in order to stop the lawsuits and all that, they're the ones who decided to start putting these. They're the ones that decided to start putting these stickers on the albums in order to like combat the lawsuits. You know, they're like, all right, fine. You know, PMRC, stop. You know, trying to like sue us and tell us not to sell these albums at all. We'll put these little warnings on there. Everybody's happy. Because like the PMRC just wanted them completely like banned and like censored altogether. They didn't think it should be allowed at all.
But so moving on from that too, in terms of like parental advisory stickers. I just remember this popped in my head because I used to watch all those like crazy VH1 documentaries about metal because there were so many of them.
Mm-hmm.
I remember at one point after like they talked about the initial trials with Tipper Gore and Dee Snider. They were talking about how like in a way bands starting liking the parental advisory because it was a new like bad boy thing. I was like, yeah, have you seen the new album? It's got that parental advisory sticker. You know, it's fucking bad.
And that was what screwed them. Is now any album that got that sticker sold like hotcakes after that.
Well, because I think also what led me to that thought is that like when like I thought what the first record I considered me having is my mom bought me Marshall Mathers LP by Eminem, and I was trying to think of like, well, what if that didn't have the parental advisory stickers? People think, oh, wait, who's this Eminem rapper? Like they like going in blind, not knowing, and then
he's gonna sing about candy. My kid'll love this.
Exactly. So, especially because like that, the first song on that record after like the whole public service intro was "Kill You."
Yeah, so
And
he
the
doesn't
whole
even like
chorus is
start
"Bitch,
it
I'ma
off slow.
kill you."
Fuck starting slow. We're getting right to the point. I'm gonna kill you, bitch. Done.
Yeah, I mean that is. So, do you think? Are you happy it happened, or you still think the whole thing was kind of just bullshit? Because it seems to be more positive kind of came out of this. Because like in a way, like for people who don't know that, even
well,
Eminem
look,
had,
here's the problem. It's awesome because it helps sales in certain ways. Because you know the bad boy
Bad
and
boy,
bad
yeah.
girls of the world will look at it and be like, "That's what I want," because they're telling me I can't have it. The downside is all the goody goodies in the world, like Walmart and Target, refuse to carry any album with a parental advisory sticker on it.
Yeah.
So now,
Yeah, I remember that.
places like Walmart and shit like that, for some people, are the only places they have to buy music because like record stores don't exist anymore. It's buy it online or buy it at Walmart or something. And especially for an older audience, like they're not gonna bother ordering it online. They're gonna pick it up while they're at Walmart. So now you've got all these people whose albums aren't selling anywhere near as well because they can't be bought.
Well, was Walmart like all those like major business companies still selling these records before? Because like I could never imagine. I mean, again, like this is like much before my time, but like I could never imagine going to Walmart and picking up an uncensored CD this time. But they sell rated R movies.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I'm sure at some point you could go to Walmart and pick up any CD that was available, but they're trying to stay as a family-friendly type of place. So why would they want to have something with a parental advisory like that on it? And you know, these sorts of things could have changed. I honestly haven't checked out the CD section in Walmart in 10 years. So like for all I know these days they are selling ones with parental advisory stickers. All I know is the last time I tried to buy a CD from a Walmart, it was Guns N' Roses Use Your Illusion. They did not have Use Your Illusion 1 and Use Your Illusion 2. They only had a double Use Your Illusion album that was censored and only had a couple of tracks from each of the two albums put onto it. They removed the more offensive songs and censored the other ones.
See, I'm just also remembering, mine is self-indulgence because of that they had when their album Your Bell Anything came out, they had a couple versions, and they had the Walmart exclusive versions, and it had a couple extra songs that you couldn't get anywhere else. It was like, yeah, we feel bad for all the kids who have to deal with the censored album, so we gave them songs that no one else would listen to, as well.
See, and that's fantastic. Like, we know you're getting the shittier version, so like, have some extras.
Yeah, that's so nice. So considerate of them.
But I mean, I'm against like specific tracks for anything. Like, fuck you. All right, if I'm a fan, it shouldn't matter what part of the world I'm in or what version I'm buying. I should be able to hear your music.
Yeah.
Like, I shouldn't have to live in Japan to know that these extra 2 tracks off the album exist.
Do you think bands ever do that because they know that like us as Americans are gonna buy those imported CDs because there's that hardcore thing? Because I also don't like that. It pisses me off, especially when I see like the Used put out an album, like a single, their 5th album, Vulnerable, and they put out in Japan initially that had an extra song that I really liked. I couldn't get it here until they released like the special edition here that actually had the Japanese B-sides. Like, well, how come they only got it, man?
Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time. Like when Slash put out his first solo record in 2010, there was a different track on the Japanese release. There was a different track on I want to say the European release as well. Like they just got way more options than we did. And not only that is like they got completely different versions of songs. Like there was one song that got on that Slash album that he recorded two versions of with the same singer, one in English, one in Japanese, and they got both of them over in Japan, and we didn't like. You can download them here in America, but they didn't come on any of the editions of the album here.
That I want to say it's kind of alienating, but like it's not really. But like
I just want to know
pisses
why.
me off for
Why do they feel like Japan needs one extra track over what we're getting in order to buy that album?
Because it's always Japan.
It is. And I mean, granted, they have a much larger market for music over there. Like, they're much more passionate people. But why would you still, like, I don't understand short selling yourself on the other side of the world just because you know it's going to sell well there. Like, don't you think more people here would buy the album if it had that extra song? Because some people go like that. Like, oh, why am I going to spend $10 on this album for 7 tracks? You know, maybe if it's 9 tracks, they'll be willing to spend the $10.
Maybe. Do you think maybe they possibly released the albums here first, and then so like naturally, you know, when they sell albums here, some are gonna get shipped off Japan, or people in Japan can already get that. But for when they make the official release in Japan, they were like, oh yeah, even though you may have gotten this album before, like why did you want this album over your imported American one? Is that the official Japanese one has more than the American one, so it's like they get to sell those records again. It's like how this is what pisses me off about like what I see like smaller labels do. Like I see this Rise Records did this a lot, and it pissed me off is that they would release an album 1 year later after the album is released, like, oh, hey, pick up the special edition, it'll have 1 or 2 extra songs, or released one of those songs as a new single that everyone gets hyped to, and another song that just kind of sounds like it's like remember how like bands usually release an EP between albums to give you an idea.
Now they do special editions.
Yeah, so it's like when I see an album come out with Rise, like this band Paris I really like. Yeah, I figured I saw them. I was like after like their album came out for a while. It's been out for a while because like they've been known for a while, and I picked up on them. And then I was like, man, I'd buy their album. Like they released a new single. Like, oh, new album's coming. I was like, nope, they're just re-releasing the old one with 2 extra songs on it. And then this band of Mice of Men did that, except they give you 4 extra songs. But still, just give me this. Why can't that EP be? How come I have to buy that album again?
Well, that's part of like the new business model. You know, I can understand it more so. Doing that nowadays because of the fact that not as many people are buying records. So in order to get the few people who are buying records to buy enough, you got to get them to buy it twice. or they're
hardcore fans.
Yeah, or they're enticing all those other people who are like, hey, you know, we can tell that you weren't that into it the first time. How about now? We did a new thing for you.
Yeah, it is bum. It's kind of like how I always bitch. It's like similarly in video games. It's like I pay $6 for a goddamn game, and in some games
half
nowadays,
a game these days.
Exactly. It's like in order for me to get a full game, I gotta pay $90. So it's like I have to judge off that initial 60, which should be, you know, I heard this math once done before, is like to make a game worth it, you have to put in. I heard it was like $1 for every hour you play. I say. $2 for every hour. So it's like if I can't get 30 hours out of your game, then I'm not going to invest any more in that game. In order to give you 30 hours worth of stuff, you have to give it like replay like a long like in one playthrough. I have to do enough, and then I'm going to want to replay it again. You know, like replayability and enough achievements so like I can keep playing that same save file. Like one game I liked enough that I played it up to like 4 or 5 different times, just because difficulties, when you change difficulties, it changed so much. But
right, it's like playing an entirely different game.
Exactly.
And that's the funny part. Is like these days they're jumping through hoops to get people to buy games. You know, they're creating all these massive like open worlds. You can do whatever you want, all that sort of shit.
I think it's flailing now.
Well, because they're becoming too similar. If every game is just, hey, here's an open world, you can do whatever you want. It's like, well. All you're really doing is presenting me the same game in a different fashion. Like, here's the same game, but set in medieval times. Here's the same game set in Midwestern times. Here's, like, that's all they're doing. You know, it's all just fucking Grand Theft Auto, but with different time periods.
And then, so you got to sell that initially. So you got to sell someone an idea that's going on at the end. Then, like, paying the same out every time, then like, hey, we want you to pay another $30. Like, fuck you.
It's crazy.
What's like, what are you like? So this Japanese company, Square Enix, presented this idea of like, look, we won't like you can pay $60 for the full game, and that includes any and every DLC you get. But the catch is, for like the full initial game, what would be like without the DLC, you're gonna be getting in sections like this game Hitman they released. It got released in 6 or 7 parts. I think it was 6.
Right. So you only paid the $60 up front, and then they released it over time.
So yeah, like the whole full game was 6 parts from April, I think, end of November, end of September. But like, it's like that's you don't even wait that long. Like, and then from what I understand, they give you enough content to like replay because it would be a huge map, and then you have the one main mission of kill these 2 people, and then it's like here are the extra challenges, and you can do these specific challenges, do these specific challenges. Oh hey, now this time around you gotta kill these 2 people. Like other counselors, like they give you enough replayability. Like so, and then everything they release after that is like, oh hey, you just have that. You're welcome.
Yeah, that's not bad. It's I don't know. It's hard because the companies are trying to make money. They have to make money, obviously. That's the point. That's how they keep going. But everyone's just downloading things for free. So I mean, just with music industry, they're having to now rework the whole system. They got so used to we make our money by making this product and then people buy it. Now it's like it's becoming more of a service again. Like the music industry is totally going in a cyclical order. Back in the 50s, you made fucking like no money off selling records. You didn't. It just didn't happen. So in order to make money, you had to tour. You'd fucking get a band, go around the country, you play your show, and that's how you make your money. And then at some point, rock stars started to develop, and you ended up with like Elvis and the Beatles, and everyone is all of a sudden buying records and making like full records and not just releasing singles and then collections of singles, which is all an album used to be. It'd be like, hey, I put out 15 singles over the course of my career. I'm going to put them all in one place for you now. That's what it used to be. And then it became like, oh, the album is the thing. People only want to buy a good album, and then you hit the MTV generation, and then it was all about the music video, and now, people are you get the good video to sell the CD. Now it's back to the 50s. You got to put out the CD. That's literally just your flyer to get people to come out to your show. Check out the music, see how much you think we're awesome. Now come see us do it for real.
I feel like that was a big part of Warped Tour because like they'd always be like, hey, listen to this headset, you like this? Yeah, we're playing 3:30 at the Kevin Said stage. Come check us out if you're not doing anything. You're right, and I feel it's kind of flopped now where it's their albums are your flyers, I guess, but like I feel like they only ever focus on like for every album has like 11 songs now. I said that's like it's standard now.
Yeah.
I always wish for like 13. But they only feel like they only focus on a couple of good singles.
Just a real side note. What do you think is more important, the number of tracks or the runtime of the album? Like, would you rather have 15 tracks that were each a minute long, or 6 tracks that were each like 10 minutes? I know it's a tough question because some people can't handle like long ass songs.
Well, because that's not only a problem. So I guess it would really depend on the music. So if I were getting like a punk album, I don't want to listen to 10 minutes of like 10-minute punk songs. That doesn't sound interesting to me. But if there was like
I'm gonna write a 10-minute punk song now just to make you listen to it.
I mean, I'm not saying it can't be done, but like. I don't know, cause like I'm just not really into long songs. At the end of the day, like I only make exception for like metal songs, like or Black Sabbath songs, cause especially with like in like the first records when all like each track had like 3 songs on it, so it's it's like you have to like if I'm gonna listen to that, I'm gonna commit to the whole thing.
That's a good point.
But truthfully, every weekend now when I shower, it just kind of naturally comes to me. I always put Black Sabbath last thing when I shower and just kind of jam out. Especially when like Iron Man and Paranoid come out.
That's fun. I've been playing a lot of the first record after Hippie Hour, because I do like 2 hours of Grateful Dead music, and I'm like, yeah, I love the Dead and everything. Like I never listened to the Dead before I started working at the bar. I've gotten so into it since I have been, and but it gets to me after a while. After like 2 hours of jam band, I'm like, all right, I'm done. I need something different. And like to hear Ozzy barking over Tony Iommi's like killer ass fucking riffs is no better way.
It's just to me, it's just like great startup music, and just young Ozzy is just some prime things. I really thought about it. I was like, no one fucking ever tried to do the Ozzy because I don't think anyone could ever like
He had
sound like Ozzy.
zero musical talent whatsoever, but it worked for him.
Goddamn right.
He is what I aspire to be, a man with no musical talent that somehow manages to become a musician. And not only a musician, but like a fucking groundbreaking musician. Like he helped birth an entire genre of music.
Oh yeah. But I feel like Black Sabbath kind of created like the whole foundation that we're on today.
Yeah, essentially. And it's all because of an industrial accident and a scary movie.
Industrial accident being Tony Iommi's getting two tips of his fingers chopped off.
Yeah, it's amazing to me the fact that something like that is the difference between like one of the greatest metal bands of all time existing and not. Was one accidental hand sliding too far into a machine.
And then his last day of work too.
Right? Dude, think about it. Our lives would be different if it weren't for a construction accident. Motherfucking Pete. Didn't he get hurt in like a construction accident or something? Like his back was all fucked up, and that's how he ended up going to school for audio and then teaching us.
Favorite teacher. I was talking about that in my last episode actually too.
Pete, motherfucking
school dude. Fucking.
We should get him on this podcast.
Fuck good. There are a couple.
He'll show up for like 2 seconds, say something mean and hilarious, and then leave.
Yep. Fuck, dude.
It would cost me at least like an eighth of weed to get him to do that too.
How dare you? I think it would take more of some dank shit.
But dude, he smokes some fucking good weed. I know it was like in the early days of me smoking pot, but like he gave me like 2 rips off a bowl once, and I was like, I couldn't remember where I was standing. I ended up talking to like the head of I talked to the head of the department, like Rob. I had to have like a whole conversation with him because they were running some event at PMC, and I just went to go check it out with fucking Pete, and I was so stoned. I was just like staring off into the distance as he was talking, and when he stopped, I just got real nervous because I was like, I have no idea what the fuck he just said to me. What do I do?
I remember when I was in RA, I was like when the first time I got high with my girlfriend at the time and a couple other people, and then I saw like my boss walk toward me. I was like, shit, an RA should not be fucking stoned. And I was gone. So out of nervousness, I just took Tori's phone and was like, you have a more complicated phone than I do. And I just started playing with it. And I was like, what's up, Brandon? And then I just started like looking up and just paying more attention to the phone. Yeah. Because it didn't seem like anything important, just kind of casual. And then I did that I wasn't actually clicking anything. I'm just kind of doing the motions. Yeah. And then he just kind of like
pantomiming.
He kind of took like the hint that I didn't want to talk to him. We both went our separate ways, and I was, dude, I thought I was gonna die that night. My heart was beating out of my chest.
It's amazing how like scary it is when you're not like you think somebody's gonna be mad at you for being fucked up.
No, dude. He hated that shit. 100. So like, I figured if he knew, he would fucking call me out hardcore.
That's what I'm saying. It's fucking terrifying. Like to have somebody that you're just so sure is gonna call you out on it. Like your anxiety's already through the roof, and then you're trying to hide the fact that you're anxious, and that just makes you more anxious. And then it reminds me. One of my favorite lines I ever heard was from one of the bartenders I work with. She said, "I'm anxious about being anxious." It's like it's a fucking cyclical problem here you've created. I'm anxious. Why are you anxious? Because I'm afraid I'm gonna get anxious. I was like, no shit.
Been there, done that.
It just makes so much sense.
It's a vicious cycle.
It is.
Dude, you know what's bothersome I keep thinking about lately? I was thinking about, like, more specifically at work today, is how I think Marvel kind of, I like the movies. I feel like they kind of ruined the movie industry just because everything has to be a goddamn franchise. And
I don't think that's necessarily their fault.
But I mean, like, I feel like they got so popular. I mean, also like every action movie now, because like one problem that people kept bringing up with like Justice League, and they always compare it to the Avengers, And it's like, well, can you just like I was because I also saw the movie in theaters. I didn't think it was like a terrible movie. Like everyone's saying, it was all right. Like I after like the first like 10 minutes, I was like, I should stop being a dick about this movie and just not compare it to the Avengers.
Right.
Because I found myself doing that immediately, and then like it's like no, it wasn't that bad. But like
So if you don't compare it to the Avengers, how is the movie? I've never actually seen it.
It was all right. I mean, it's just no. My favorite actors and people in that movie were all like the new ones. Like Aquaman was great.
Right.
Flash was funny, made me laugh.
Yeah, I heard the Aquaman movie. Did that already come out, or is that coming out?
It's coming out. It's supposed to be like a horror-based thing.
I thought it was supposed to be like.
But they're changing everything because of how bad Justice League flopped.
Wow.
That's the only DC movie I've seen. I just don't really care about the characters all too much.
Yeah, they're just not as fun overall.
I just watched Spider-Man. I don't know if you've seen that.
I just recently watched Spider-Man 2 myself, and it was fucking awesome.
It was great, dude. It was one of my favorite parts is like they didn't talk about Kill Uncle Ben. We've seen it too many goddamn times.
Yes, finally we got to sit through a beginning Spider-Man movie without having to watch Uncle Ben die. I was so happy about that.
I was kind of weirded out because like like I've never seen Spider-Man this young, and B, I've never had him or never used to him like having like someone else who knows his identity, but since I'm not used to him being young and that age, him having someone like a friend figure out who he is doesn't really because it's already so new to me.
Yeah, it's kind of already taken you out of it enough that they can change in anything they want without it being too weird.
Also, I will say too is that like I feel like I would have enjoyed that movie more if I were like younger, in terms of like because when I was watching the movie, I thought it was a good movie. It's just kind of like I'm like I know I could have been more impressed if I was younger. Just kind of like because I can see the kind of how like it would be like because like it's all like meant for kids, essentially speaking. It's all like family-based movies and shit. Because I was thinking about that with Star Wars, like there was like the original like Star Wars trilogy, but like it was like kids movies and shit. And I really thought about it. I was like, you know what, the adventures and all the action and shit's for the kids, but like when you're an adult, or like watching it, or like when you look back watching it, you see like all like the mysticism, like the politics, and see all like the crazy things that come from like
all the shit that went over your head as a kid.
Yeah, like outside of all the whatchamacallit, like the books and people like essentially other canon shit.
The outside canon that had nothing to do with the movies.
Well, it's like exactly like it was so deep that it can spark all that.
Yeah,
That's how I feel about the Marvel movies.
But that's why I feel like you can't blame the whole franchise thing on Marvel, because I feel like the industry as a whole was going to end up going there eventually, because people like things that they can relate to, and what do you relate to better than something you've already seen? So people doing sequels was like they started doing that already, where they were just like, oh shit, people like it when we do a second one. So the natural progression from that is to just keep going in a way that connects everything together, because it brings in that nostalgia and almost just like a feeling of necessity to go see it. Like, well, I've already seen the first 6 parts of it. I got to find out what happens next.
Well, I think because. And so in Power Rangers, like I haven't seen that, but like for Breaking News, like but even for the first one to play, they're like, yeah, they're planning up until 6 now. I'm like, you guys are looking too much in the future, because like to me, it's holding back. You're spreading out your ideas too thin. Like they don't.
Right. Instead of focusing on making one awesome movie, they're like, we're gonna plan out 6 movies. And
like if your first one's not great and crowd about people, like how do you think? Because people are gonna fall off regardless from the first movie. So you have to have a great start, but like. Some people are like, no. We're gonna hook you here, then we're really gonna get you in the second one. I was like, no, you should just catch me here.
Yeah, because like all those people you didn't catch for the first one are not gonna catch the second one.
And you have to see the first one to really get the second one. Yeah. Like they have to go backwards.
It's it just seems like a poor idea, but I'm sure it works. That's the shitty part. Is like a lot of this stuff sounds like really bad ideas, but they wouldn't be doing it if it didn't work.
I mean, it is true, because like even with me, I didn't really see in the Marvel movies. Like I saw like the original Hulk one. I think that was those when I saw Iron Man, but I didn't really catch on to everything. I just watched Iron Man 1 and 2. Didn't see Thor, Captain America. Heard the Avengers was coming out. Heard that looked really cool. I actually didn't even see any trailers. Like, yeah, dude, Avengers is crazy. It was like Iron Man's in it, right? Yeah, I'll go see this.
Yeah.
And then it was great. So I went back and I watched Captain America and I watched Thor. I didn't watch Hulk though.
From what the Hulk's not really worth watching. I want them to do another one, but again, I want them to do a standalone Hulk movie where we don't need to see the beginnings of Bruce Banner. We've seen it twice. Both of them sucked. Do something else.
That's why I want to see, because apparently Thor Ragnarok was supposedly like a, because I haven't seen it.
It was like a Thor Hulk movie,
like buddy movie, which seems funny to me.
Yeah, I would love to. I really do want to watch that movie because it does, like, the little bits of it I do know from having nerdy friends and relatives are from the comic books. Mm-hmm. Like I've never read any of the comic books myself, but I like to surround myself with people in the know so that I can just like be like, oh shit, I know things. Yeah. I don't really know shit. I know a lot of people. I know that at some point they're gonna fight in it, and that's gonna be awesome. I want to see Thor and the Hulk going at it for like in an arena.
Oh, yeah, dude, look badass.
Gladiator style.
Did you see any of the trailers? And when he comes out, he was like, that's my friend. And then Hulk.
We work together.
But I'm just really excited to see the new Avengers coming out in May.
Yeah, that one's going to be really good. I'm very interested to see if they end it at some point, like the whole Avengers series, and reboot it, or if they're just going to keep going with it.
So that will probably... So after the second part 4, Avengers 4,
yeah,
it will start what they call Phase 4 of the Marvel films, and they said, from this point on, it's not gonna be like all like movies up to this point had like,
a specific timeline,
movies, like team up, other movies team up, and so it's just kind of like because they said like Avengers are gonna die in this one,
yeah, and
I feel like they're just gonna kill Vision because he has that thing in his head.
They're gonna kill Vision, and I wouldn't be surprised if they killed Captain America.
See, that's what I've been saying from the start.
That was one of the biggest. That was one of the biggest kills in the comic books. Was when Captain America dies. It's like it was like such a huge fucking deal. If for them to not include that in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, I think would be a waste. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't want to see Captain America die. I'm gonna be fucking heartbroken when it happens. But I think he needs to.
That shield's gonna break.
Yeah. I think that's a necessity.
I think what's going to happen is that, like, he's going to die saving Tony Stark. Because, like, even, like, in the trailers, it shows him about to get punched and smashed.
I want to see him die saving Tony Stark from Bucky Rogers.
No, he's going to die, like, saving him from Thanos.
But I think it'd be better to save him from Bucky.
It would be one hell of a plot twist.
Exactly.
Because also, like, I want to know if it's just going to be, like, that bad guy, or if he's going to have, like... Because he has Loki on the side, so that's his, like, little bitch boy. But I don't know if there's going to be any more villains. But so it doesn't really seem so. But, have you seen any of the Netflix stuff?
No, I haven't checked out any of the Netflix stuff.
Just watch The Punisher. Dude, just start with there. It's just great.
I know, I've heard nothing but good things about The Punisher. On a similar note to the TV shows, I was reading an article the other day that was talking about the Shield, the Shield TV show.
Yeah.
And it's basically saying that it did an okay first season, but since then its ratings have been steadily dropping, and Fox wanted to cut it, but Disney basically threw a bunch of money at them and said no.
Really?
Yeah, they're and here's my theory: is they're keeping it around. Well, it was partially my theory, partially what I read in the article. They're keeping it around basically as advertisement for the Avengers. Yeah, so like instead of, it's going to, at some point it's going to take longer for them to put out movies. So instead of putting out a movie every 6 days, they keep you intrigued in the storyline by giving you these little tidbits. That's all it is. It's just an infomercial. It is a half an hour infomercial on Fox once a week going, hey, don't forget about the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Oh, wow, holy shit. Because I put that on in the background. It's my background noise sometimes. And because I thought it's gotten better since I thought the first season was garbage, and that it's gotten better.
I'm sure it's gotten better, but like you said, if your first one sucks, you're gonna lose people.
True.
So they lost a bunch of people right off the get go, and then
that's why I try to tell people, hey, skip first season. It's like, well, there's some small things you know. It's like that's why I really hate about shows like Parks and Rec. I say, hey, just don't watch the first season. Maybe watch season 2, then go back to understand things. But season 1's terrible. Like it doesn't.
Yeah.
I
Or
only
if
got
you
half of
if you're so like dedicated that you must like have all of that information in order to be able to enjoy season 2, power through season 1, but just know that that one's crap and don't judge the show based off that. Because I was told that going into Parks and Rec. I was like, oh, the first season is not really worth watching. I was like, I can't go and just start at season 2 because they're gonna make inside jokes to the first season and shit, and I'm gonna get annoyed because I don't understand the reference. So I powered through the first season, and granted, I didn't think it was that good. I didn't think it was crap. It wasn't that good, but going into it knowing that it wasn't gonna be that good, I was able to like instead of just turning it off after 3 episodes and going, all right, I'm gonna watch something else. I was so excited to like get through it and see where it goes in season 2 because everyone's like, it gets so much better. I'm like, well, this is okay. If it gets so much better, then fuck yeah, it's gonna it gave me something to look forward to.
I was thinking about how like from the first season that was kind of weird comparatively because it's always sunny in Philadelphia. In the first season they didn't have Danny DeVito. And so, like, so say I kind of caught a few episodes here and then. I think the show's funny. And I started watching the beginning. I was like, this is. I still think it was a good show. Like, I think it was good enough to hook people, but like.
But Danny DeVito took it to a whole nother level. Though they lost me after like 4 or 5 seasons because it started to get too weird and out there and just kind of like going for the gross out factor.
Yeah, they had a couple. They had some down seasons.
Yeah, for quite a while there, it felt like they were just kind of going for the biggest ew or whoa factor most of the time. And granted, like that's a good portion of what the show is all about is a lot of just like like these people's lives are crazy but
what are the good ones that you remember? Like when you think of it, it's always like good episodes.
And see, here's where I'm gonna ruin my own point because like a lot of that stuff is so like over the top. When they hunted cricket. That is by far one of my favorite things.
That was the first episode. Do you remember? Did you have Mr. Willick in high school?
Yes.
So we read Most Dangerous Game Ever, where it's some guy like hunts some dude, like that's the story's about, and it was like, yeah, this TV show did an episode about that. Let's watch it. And I was like, yeah, let's watch another one. And then we just kept watching the episodes. And then it's just kind of like that show is just so outrageous because I always think of like. Anything with like Charlie. Like my favorite thing is like you ever hear him talk about playing night crawlers with Danny DeVito?
Is that where they just like laid under the blanket and like wiggled around or some shit?
Yeah. I don't think I can't remember if you've ever seen that. It's been a while since I need that show. They took it off Netflix, so I'm very upset. So I have to watch it on Hulu.
Yo, Netflix is fucking up lately, and I want to know whose fault it is.
Well, do you know like they're trying to like get rid of everything just to be like only Netflix originals?
That's not a good idea.
Yeah,
they're gonna lose. They're doing that. Disney's pulling all of their shit because they're gonna launch their own streaming service. It's gonna suck. We're gonna end up having to pay for 20 different services in order to be able to watch shows.
Hulu seems to be doing strong and not.
But they're not gonna like. I'm hooked on too many Netflix originals. I'm not gonna ditch Netflix for Hulu, so I'm stuck paying for Netflix now. Hulu will pick up the other shows. All right, fine. I'm not paying for Netflix. My mom pays for Netflix.
I'm a leech too, man. It's cool.
Let's be fair. There's like 7 million fucking Netflix users, and only like 1 million of them pay for it, and it's mostly parents. So, what the fuck was my point?
Oh yeah, this is kind of like all like the things you have to buy, watch things, because like no one wants to have cable. I mean,
well, it's just is. It's just gonna turn into a more awkward cable. Whereas instead of buying like, you have to buy this cable package in order to get the shows you want, and then you can buy the premium one if you want to get these other shows. Now it's gonna be, well, you pay for this service if you want these shows. You pay for this service if you want these shows. And they're all gonna have shit that you want to see, or it's gonna end up super segregated, and like some people are only gonna be Netflix people, and some people are only gonna be Hulu folks, and they're just not gonna be able to fucking connect in conversation ever about fucking TV.
What are you watching? I'm on Hulu. Oh, okay. Hey, are you on Hulu? Oh, okay. I'm the only Hulu guy here. What do you have? Amazon Prime? Fuck you.
Nobody wants to talk to you. Why? Because Amazon Prime took over the world, and that guy's the narc.
Oh yeah, dude, 100%. They know it was weird. is that like during the holiday season they had, if you're Amazon Prime, you could get 2-hour delivery. Isn't that kind of crazy?
That doesn't seem real. Like, how the fuck can they get 2-hour delivery? It had to have only been for certain items. Because like, if I could
all
order
the popular ones, yeah.
if I could order literally any item off of Amazon and it be at my house in 2 hours, I would shit a brick. And Amazon would probably have delivered it.
What if it was the drones?
Do you tip a drone?
No.
What's the etiquette on drone tipping?
Fuck it. Dude, robots don't deserve rights. 2018.
Hey, you can't say that shit anymore because Saudi Arabia actually gave citizenship to a robot.
I don't trust it.
I don't trust it either. And of course it was fucking Saudi Arabia. Like, it's one of the most corrupt places in the world.
I'm saying.
Like somebody built that robot and then went to Saudi Arabia and was like, I will give you $1 million to just give this robot citizenship. And they're like, you're going to give us $1 million to give this thing a title? Sure.
You know, I saw a joke. It was like they'll give citizenships to robots, but they'll still throw homos off roofs. I'm like, right? It's a distraction. Like, hey, no, look we're progressive. No, you're not. It's a robot.
Yeah. Of course, the first country that makes a robot a citizen is also, I think, one of the last to like do away with public executions.
I think they just give women the right to drive cars. Facts. I heard that somewhere. You know, the air it is.
That's fantastic.
Oh, God.
Oh, fun fact. America was parts of America were deemed worse than third world countries.
Where?
I don't know. I can't remember the specific locations, but the UN actually sent down out at these, like, what do they call them? Like surveyors or whatever, to go through some of the less populated areas of America, like down south and in the middle of the country and shit like that, like some of the backwoods-esque type places. And the shit that they found, the guy said that he does not normally see in places other than third world countries. Like, there are towns in America that have no sewer system, and their houses are literally just their pipes from their houses just go out into trenches in the yards, and like there's just shit everywhere. That's something that shouldn't happen in a supposedly first world country.
Yeah, dude, no.
There were kids in, I think it was like Detroit or something, in one of the more poor schools that were literally getting frostbite at school during the school day because the school could not afford to turn the heat on. How does that fucking happen?
You know, I always bitch about like how like there's like the whole like city. I can't remember what it is, like Flint, or it's like
Flint, Michigan. Yeah, that still does not have clean water.
That bothers me.
Yeah, dude, they made a fucking movie about them not having clean water and still haven't gotten them clean water. You made a drama movie about it and didn't fix the fucking problem first.
Yeah, you should have just, instead of investing all that money in the movie, maybe you should, you probably would have just solved the problem.
And then people would probably care about the movie a little bit more. Just saying.
I also feel like in terms of movies nowadays, they write for like simple ideas. Because like I was watching, it's like all these movies nowadays, they're just kind of like, oh yeah, we have this like basic idea. Like I watched Holiday, like that some Holiday movie with like Jason Bateman and like the guy in Deadpool. It was just like holiday movie. It was like Office Party or whatever, and it was just kind of like all of the jokes were cheap. I thought
couldn't have been worse than Sausage Party.
I didn't even see that.
Oh my god! If you ever want to waste an hour and a half of your life, watch Sausage Party. It was literally just every cliche like dick joke and gross out gag jammed into an animated movie about food.
Did you hear like they screwed over like the animators and shit? They didn't give them credit at all.
Seriously?
They're like, I don't know what exactly. I heard some people talking about
I just sat through the credits of Star Wars like an hour ago, and like the amount of space they have and the amount of fucking people they thank in credits usually, and they couldn't like the Sausage Party people couldn't be bothered to thank the fucking animators.
They were also overworking the staff too and shit, and like they were doing. That was like a really bad situation. I don't remember exactly what happened, but like I remember kids at my school were talking about it.
Dude, making movies just doesn't seem like a good business to get into, because even when you do well, you seem to get fucked. Like the company that did all of the visual effects for I was either Avatar or Life of Pi, one of those like super big visually effect heavy movies.
Mm-hmm.
They won all kinds of awards for it and then went bankrupt because they literally they bid for the job to do the movie and then ended up having to go way over their budget to finish it. So like they got, I think, you know, just to put a number on it, they got like $10 million or whatever to do their work. But the amount of time that they actually had to spend with their animators doing the actual work, it cost them like $50 million. So they ended up losing a shit ton of money, and even though they won all these awards, like the company folded. So what real good is it? Like now you have all of this clout for a company that doesn't exist. It's just kind of like waste of all your time and energy. But yeah, that's just my opinion, and that sort of shit seems to happen a lot. And I wonder if it's because, like, if it's similar tax break reasons to why bad movies get made. You know, because like people will fund a bad movie to save money on taxes.
Yeah.
It's like it's a genius idea. Like, hey, if I pay $10 million for this movie to be made, and then it grosses $10 million, I get $10 million.
You know any movies that are like that?
I don't know any specific ones that off the top of my head, but I'm sure if you just go down like any B horror like movie list, and just
like
you
horror, because there's like so many B horror movies.
Just find any like shitty movie list and just scroll through it and point at one that's been made in the last 30 years, and it's probably been made so somebody had a tax write-off.
South Park, they were making a joke about how like Netflix, they were trying to get like a TV deal with Netflix, and Netflix answers the phone as Netflix greenlight, what's your script? So like I saying that Netflix just kind of says yes to everything.
That's fantastic.
I don't think that's incorrect. They do. Like they have like so much random shit. Like also shit, that Death Note movie. Shit. Garbage.
Now you're talking about for making originals, they'll take anything, or just like putting stuff on the service.
Like making originals.
It's interesting because I mean, I wonder why they make that actual joke, because like for the most part, the majority of the things that they've made have been like critically acclaimed.
Dude, there's a lot, and there's some. Oh my
god. Really, the only ones I've really heard about are the critically acclaimed ones. But you're right, I have been scrolling through and seen a lot of like things with like Netflix original in the name, or like on the front of it, and I just never bothered to check it out. I wonder like how much of it is actually crap.
Well, because also they put out so many like stand-up specials. Like that's kind of like their thing, and like I'll see some of them. It's just kind of like, this doesn't pull me in. Like I'll try to give like the first 15 minutes chance. And I'm just kind of like meh. Because the only ones I ever like latch on, like I hardly ever latch on to a new person. It's always like I'm like, oh, the same people who are consistent are generally consistent. Like I just watched Tom Segura's like third special there. It was fantastic. But then
it's nice. Yeah.
I watched this other dude. It was like a whole bunch of dad jokes. I'm like, I can't do this for like a whole hour. That's why I feel like they're having their new thing where they only do half hours now.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy, and I've actually been doing a lot of that myself, of just like scanning through Netflix for various like stand-up dudes, and I find it actually the opposite. I find the last few times I've watched videos of guys I knew, like I watched Jim Gaffigan's special. His latest one wasn't like, it was funny, but like I don't think it was his best work.
I feel like Jim Gaffigan's sets are always kind of like the same, like not the same jokes, but like I kind of.
Yeah, his shtick is very like. Yeah, he's got his shtick and he goes with it. It's the same thing about oh, what the fuck was it? Nope, not gonna remember it now. Oh well.
Dave Chappelle just put out like a new double special too.
I watched the first part of it yesterday, and I thought, Dave Chappelle is an interesting dude, because he just like had everything at his fingertips and just went, nope, I'm going to go live in Africa for a while. I've had enough of you people. I've had like too many people have screamed, I'm Rick James at me. I'm out.
On the second one, it's just him and like, remember how like the My Chem Black Parades did? The first one's a big arena.
Yeah.
The second one's like small ass club. That's what the other thing is. It's like a really small venue. It's kind of more fucking, it's more casual. And it's, I don't know. It has more like a real vibe. Kind of like going to like a seminar or some shit.
Dude, I'm gonna start a record label someday just so I can sign bands and force them to do shit like that. Like, hey, I know you're selling out arenas, but you're gonna do this little run of tiny ass bars. Like, hey, you just sold out this 16,000 seat fucking venue. Tomorrow we're playing this 99 seat shitty dive bar under a false name.
That shit's fucking cool as fuck.
Yeah, I fucking love it, and I feel like more bands should do it.
Like, I don't really like this band anymore, but like the singer Ronnie Radke was in Escape the Famous, and now this band Falling in Reverse. Before they were playing their first shows, they played under a fake name, which was like the chorus of one of their songs. They have a song called Goodbye Graceful, and it sounds like he's saying Goodbye Grayskull. And so they played like 2 or 3 shows under Goodbye Grayskull in like a really small, like shitty venue, and then they played their first. Oh, hey, we're Falling in Reverse. We've never played a show before in our life.
Yeah.
And I thought that was pretty funny. Or like when I saw them back, this also made me laugh too. Is people always want to hear him like sing all the Escape the Fate songs he was on that first album. People were a big fan of that. So
right.
He played a double set, and when he was playing as like the first band, he was like acting like he's not like, oh yeah, I can't wait for the next band. Heard that guy's an asshole though. And then he came out for the second one, which I thought that was also cool. It's like the whole.
Yeah, that's fun stuff. I mean, anytime a musician pulls double duty, I think it's you got to acknowledge it in some way, because I mean they're working twice as hard as anybody else. First of all, especially when they're the drummer, and dude, that's one of my favorite parts about working at a live music venue is I get to see crazy shit like that all the time. I've watched one guy play drums for 3 bands in a row. I've watched one bass player who was playing in like funk jam bands, and he played a 6-string bass, and he played in 4 bands. He would play a 50-minute set, go outside, smoke a bunch of weed, come back inside with a completely different band, play another 50-minute set, and then repeated the process. Like, he just did that for the whole night. It was fantastic.
It's fucking hardcore as shit.
And all I can think is, like, his fingers must be bleeding right now from just, like, because he's just running up and down this bass, like, all fucking night. And, like, it's nothing.
I'm more thinking of just his arms and like, well, like how crazy was his like his bass? Because I was thinking about like this kind of just going like just doing this whole like, especially with like the right arm going up and down like and all those inches. Because also like for me like stand up bass is so weird to me because it doesn't have frets, and so you have to kind of just understand the positioning. Like I have understand like I mean
it's like just like playing a trombone or something. There's no like they're just moving a slide out to a position, and like how do you know where the fuck you're going? 3rd position. Well, where the fuck's 3rd? I don't.
You know, it's moments like these I really wish I took piano lessons as a kid.
I took music lessons. It wasn't very helpful.
What would you do?
I did. I mean, I was in band in middle school. First of all, I started off on the clarinet because I'm a badass. Really, it was only because they did not offer guitar as an option, and motherfuckers, they told me drums weren't an option, and then literally my second year, somebody went, "Oh, but I really want to play drums," and they went, "Fine, play drums," and I was like, "What the fuck? I begged and no, fuck them." So I was like, finally, all right, what other instrument do you want to play? I was like, saxophone. They're like, you can play the saxophone, but you got to play the clarinet first, and I'm like, because that makes sense.
Did they give any reason why they was like, yeah, play clarinet?
Because they're very similar instruments. Like the saxophone is basically just a slightly different shaped, larger clarinet as far as like playing goes. But it was because she wasn't gonna take the time out to teach me a different instrument if I wasn't gonna stick with it. So like the 4 basics that everyone was playing, it was flute, clarinet, trumpet, or trombone. Those were like the things you got to pick from, because those, that way it was easy. She didn't have to go around teaching 10 different things. But once you get the basics down, learning the saxophone isn't that hard. So they are like, here, start with this. So I did that for a year, and then they let me switch over, and then that was the mistake though, because now I have to relearn this instrument, even if it is only slightly different.
Mm-hmm.
So they stuck me in the back room with a tutor, not even with like a teacher. It was like another student my age, which bad idea. They stuck me with a girl who I thought was cute, and I was an awkward ass dude, so I didn't learn a damn thing because I was too nervous to fucking even look at her while she was trying to teach me the shit. So I ended up so far behind the rest of the class. I didn't learn another fucking thing. I played the saxophone for like a year and a half, and then it just sat in my bedroom. That was it. That was my last attempt at being a wind instrument player. But what good thing came out of that? I sold that saxophone in college and bought my first bong, the pipe we were smoking out of earlier, and an ounce of weed.
Fuck yeah, dude. Great decisions. I support it.
Fantastic investments in my future, right?
I'm going to make a musical investment. I'm going to buy a new guitar soon. Speaking of
Ooh.
musical investments,
Are you gonna go with like a nice guitar, or are you just gonna get
Oh,
like?
like I just want to get one that's just like I'm not gonna like go spend. I think I don't know, depending how much I get by my taxes, I'll probably make like $500, $700 guitar. Because I just wanna. Because my other one, I mean, it's not like
It's not a bad guitar, but you know.
it's not. It doesn't really do. It's not the sound I want. Like because that was kind of like my first guitar.
Right. It was just the first one that you ended up.
Now I know what. Now I know what I'm looking for. Because also it's a Christmas present, so it's like yeah. So I want my first. Because they started me on acoustic first, and then transitioned me, which was. I want to understand it better because you will like if I learned the other way around I can never play acoustic because they're push sound so much harsher.
Yeah.
Now I learned hardcore shit.
Yeah.
Hardcore push
Everyone
shit.
has always said that if you're gonna learn to play a stringed instrument, you should start with an acoustic.
100%. Although I feel like that wouldn't work so much with bass. That's like you need fucking.
Yeah. No. And you don't honestly see acoustic basses that much.
Unless it's like MTV Unplugged.
Even then, like if you go back, a lot of those guys were playing like just unplugged electric basses.
Oh, were they? I only ever watched Nirvana's.
I mean, I could be wrong. I don't know. I've only watched a couple here or there, but I know for a lot of times when people are doing acoustic shit live, the bass player is just just still playing electric bass. The only thing that seems to really matter is acoustic is the guitars, in most people's opinions. I honestly prefer it if they would do the whole thing acoustic 'cause it sounds more like unison.
Mm-hmm. That's what even like Nirvana when he was playing with the drums, they were like those egg beaters, for the most part.
What?
They weren't like actual sticks, or he had like the one like the strings. Like it wasn't always like it was different. Like they were never actual sticks. It was I don't know. It's like I remember like when I was like maybe middle school like 6th grade because I was 6th grade elementary school. I would just keep watching. Like I'd go to like work with my mom, and just like listen to music in the corner. But every weekend I would always watch that maybe at least twice because I thought it was always fun. And also I got the DVD, which was better than like getting a download because if you get it straight off, like MTV Stream, they cut off some songs, some things in the side. I enjoy all that little shit.
Why would they cut shit off if you were?
Because they probably commercial breaks probably went on too long.
Yeah, that's a bummer. That's why I was always disappointed when they would do like live music things on any TV show, and then there's always like a song that gets done during the commercial break that you don't see. And I'm like, but I want to see that song.
Or if you, I know some albums like the CD will have like 12 songs, but if you watch the DVD, it's actually like 13 because they cut one up. Because like I remember with the Used, there's one song that they don't put on like one of the live albums because it's a lot of like, let me hear ya, and then it's just kind of like going back and forth, which I guess and also this kind of just jamming a little bit, not doing much. So it's like, yeah, I guess people might not want to listen to this song. It's also a different time.
Full circular moment here from back to the beginning of the conversation at the very start here. One of the greatest things I've ever heard of on an album was a song called Ode to Tipper Gore. And it came out right after the whole PMRC thing happened. It was by a band called Warrant, who's they're popular for that song Cherry Pie. I don't know if you're familiar with that one.
Of course.
Which I was a fun fact about that story after this. So the Ode to Tipper Gore was literally just they took swears from a bunch of their live shows that they had said like as banter in between, and just strung them together into like a 1.5-minute long track, and they put it as a bonus hidden track on their album. So at the end, it's just like shit, fuck, cunt, motherfucker, and all these things. And I think at one point it drops Tipper Gore's name, and then the rest of it is just like cunt and shit and fuck and over and over and over and over. And it's fantastic. It makes me giggle like a schoolgirl
Was there
every
ever a
time.
response from Tipper Gore that you've heard of?
I honestly I don't know, but I hope she like heard that song and fainted, because I'm picturing it like just comes on and she just does like that old Southern lady. Oh.
That makes me think of Blink-182's live album. I can't remember the song. I mean, I think it may have been on an actual album too. It was like shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, shit, fart, turd, and twat. I fucked your mom.
I love stuff like that.
That was my jam in high school. I was just actually watching like a thing with Tom DeLonge right now, like talking about like aliens and shit on a podcast.
Yeah, he is like way out there these days.
Well, he's working with the White House and government, like even before like.
Is
the
he
Trump
really
shit.
though?
Yeah, like it's like they've, like he talks about on like the thing where it's I don't know if it's with the White. I feel like it's people who are like related, but it's not like the White House directly.
Because like I granted I don't know a whole lot about this, but like I've never.
He's working with people. He's like, I can't talk about this. I can't.
That's all I've heard is him saying it and saying that he can't talk about it.
Like,
I want to see proof.
You look at it for yourself.
But all right, so somebody's got to have looked into this shit. Where's the evidence that he's actually working with anybody connected to the White House?
I mean, it's on a couple things. I think he works for like some type of foundation and shit. I can't remember. You can look it up.
I'm intrigued, but like,
you should.
I want, because he could easily just be like the head of some foundation because he donated a bunch of money, and they're like, cool, we'll give you this title.
Apparently they contacted him because like what he's seen. Well, like all
right, so if they're trusting him with all this shit, then why are they okay with him I understand he's not dropping this. I understand he's not dropping the secrets and shit, but like he's still going on talk shows and shit and talking about how he's working with the government and all these things that he's not supposed to talk about.
I think he goes on like I think he's there to advertise like the things he's allowed to talk about, like saying, hey, look at this foundation, you could sign up for this, like, you know. I feel like
but he's mentioning so much shit that he's like not allowed to talk about.
I think it's not like, so it's when he gets asked questions, he just doesn't talk about it.
That's fair.
Yeah, I'm not supposed to talk about that. I'm not supposed to talk about that. He dodges questions.
Which means he does not have a prefabricated story to answer that question.
I don't know. My whole thing is, I don't care about space. I'm more looking to the seas and shit, man. The sea's crazy.
You mean the space of Earth?
Goddamn right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
There are so many creatures here that we have not, like, and spaces that we have not seen already. So why are we traveling so far away? But to be fair, the reason we're traveling so far away is because it's only about another decade or so before we completely ruin this planet.
Well, even like on like I can't, like years upon years, like we'll be dead and gone. Like the whole sun is gonna explode, taking Earth. Like the only planet that will survive in terms of that explosion will be Mars, and everything up to Earth will be gone. So like, in order for humanity to survive in the long run, they have to get off this fucking planet, probably out of the solar system.
So here's my theory on what's gonna happen.
Star Wars.
Here's my theory on what's gonna happen with absolutely no scientific evidence or knowledge to back it up. Sun's gonna explode. Everything up to Mars, like you said, is gonna get destroyed.
Mars will live.
Mars will live. But Mars will catch on fire, and Mars will become the new sun, and it will burn for another couple thousands of years, and the surviving humans that manage to escape in the shuttle pod will be able to settle on Pluto, because Pluto will end up hot enough because Mars is now the sun.
Pluto's not a planet.
It will be. We will take it back. We don't deserve it, but it will have us.
God damn.
And is Pluto still not a planet? I thought they were like working on that a few years ago to try to like make it a planet again.
No, I think it's called like a subplanet.
But subplanet is still a planet. It's got Planet in the name.
I don't know, man. When you go to Subway and then you get a sandwich. It's different. It's a 6-inch is way different than a 12-inch. A lot more filling. I can't eat just a 6-inch sandwich, man. I'm just kind of like, man, you know what I would like? Another 6 inches of that.
That sounded dirty. I don't know. That's like when I went to Adam's restaurant. Have you ever been to Adam Buffoni's restaurant?
Nope.
You should go check it out. It's delicious. But I went there once. I can't pronounce the name, or else I would say the name. But I went there once with Matt and Cammie, and I literally ordered a steak, and they brought it out, and it's a fancy restaurant. They do like fancy foods, so it's like a small plate. I ate the whole steak and everything under it, and then I was just like, I will take a second one, and the waitress paused for a second and thought I was making a joke, and I was like, no, like really, bring me another steak, and they were like, oh, okay, and then. Do that sometime. If you ever want to catch a waitress off guard, clear your plate and then ask for another one.
It's like in Thor. I was like, I want another. Smash. The same type of shock.
That's a great way to get kicked out of a bar, by the way.
Oh yeah, I imagine so. That's.
Though I wonder, if you walk in famous enough, if you could get away with that. Like if Robert Downey Jr. walked into a bar and just started ordering drinks and smashing his glasses when he was done, would you kick him out? I wouldn't.
I would hey, if he immediately gave me a $20 bill for that glass, fine.
Smash away.
I mean, no, he'd have to give me money every time he smashed a glass. I can't trust him.
So what if he just handed you a 10,000, a stack of bills that was 10 grand, and just went, leave me alone. By the way, bring me another drink.
I would quickly do this. How much would I need to take out of this to pay for the smashed glass, and how much can I just pocket?
It's just let's see. Shot is $7.50. The glass cost about $4. He gave me 10,000, so he can break about 1,000 of these fuckers, and I'm still okay.
Good times.
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, I was reading an article yesterday about tiki bars. And people who steal cups from tiki bars.
Oh, that's fucking annoying.
Dude, I'm sure it is. And I'm one of the worst people when it comes to stealing shit from restaurants. I steal shit from every restaurant I ever go into because I can. And I've realized that makes me a horrible person. Because, dude, I didn't realize that some of these fucking people are crazy. These, especially tiki bars, they'll go and buy these custom-made cups that are $40 a pop to get made, and that's after they had to blow 10 grand to get or a couple $1,000s or whatever to get the molds made. So you'll hire a company and be like, here's a $2,000 deposit so you can make the mold for the thing I want to make, and then here's $40 a piece for the actual thing you make.
Can you buy the cups?
I'm sure some places sell them, but not every place thinks about that. I went to fucking Disney World, man. You figure Disney World of all places would understand that people want to buy their things.
Yeah.
But we went to the Liberty Tree Tavern, I think it was called. It was in, I think it was in Epcot, and we were having lunch, and my dad got I think he bought a beer or whatever, and it came in this really cool mug that said, had Mickey Mouse and all the other guys on it, and it said Liberty Tree Tavern. It was a really cool looking cup. And my dad was like, hey, can I buy one of these? And they went, nope. And I just went, okay. And the lady left. My mom looked at me and went, don't you do it. And I went, what? And she went, I know what you're thinking. I have no idea what you're talking about. And sure enough, I left there with 2 cups in my pocket.
2? I thought you were just to get one.
Well, one for Dad, one for me. Although mine ended up, I think, getting lost before the vacation was over. But I also stole a wine glass while we were there. Well, technically, I didn't steal the wine glass. Somebody else stole the wine glass and then just left it outside, and then I took it from there.
You must have a high, sneak stat.
I like to think so. My favorite was when I used to go to the steakhouse. I used to you'd get the steak and they'd give you the potatoes in the little separate side cup thing. Mm-hmm. And I would always eat my whole steak, and I would not touch the potatoes, and then I'd just pick up the whole ceramic cup thing and stick it in the takeout container. Mm-hmm. I have a stack of about 15 of those things. And Outback Steakhouse does not want me around anymore.
I think it's big about that Thai bad.
Yeah, I have officially exhausted all of my brain power for the day.
Thank you for having a casual conversation with me.
Thank you for having me.
Good night, America.
Good night.